Thank you very much for joining me on this Friday. I'm Brian Shields. I want to get into several things. Franklin and the remnants of Gert. We've had some rain in Barbados, for example. I'm going to get to that. What else could develop out there off the coast of Africa? Watching a little upper level spin here. I'll get into the Eastern Pacific. All eyes on this. Not much right now, right? But this here is going to develop and swing into the Gulf of Mexico. So I don't want to waste your time, so I just kind of want to get right to it. Based on everything I'm seeing right now, this is the most likely scenario. Now, you know, the weather changes, things evolve. I need to see how this develops through the weekend. But based on the modeling and what I'm seeing in the atmosphere, I do believe a tropical storm is going to develop and head toward Florida, most likely very late on Tuesday night into Wednesday, and then just off the coast of the Carolinas, this could eventually become a hurricane. So as it stands now, this is the most likely scenario, and I'll update on that. I like to give you just everything I'm thinking, everything I'm seeing out there. Don't hold anything back, just want to give it to you. Weather is what it is. I want to just give you the facts on this channel. So with that said, and I'll talk about why in a second, anywhere from the panhandle of Florida all the way down through South Florida, monitor very closely. The key with a system that develops close to home is that they could spin up very carefully. I don't want anyone caught off guard, but you're listening to me right now, so awareness is the number one thing, and you're clearly aware. So this is the spot to watch, and I do believe it is going to kind of hook more toward Florida because there's going to be a front just to the north, and I'll show you that with a European model in just a moment. Now, the European model makes this area a little bit stronger and takes it up toward the Big Bend of Florida, over the Gulf of Mexico longer, hence it could get a little bit stronger, even potentially a hurricane. The American model, the GFS, brings it a little bit more to Central or South Florida as a weaker tropical storm. But both models, and these are the biggest models out there, at least two of the biggest ones out there, are seeing this, and they are seeing some development. Now in the short term this weekend though, it does look like this could kind of stall out over toward the Yucatan of Mexico. So I'm watching the Yucatan for increased rain and storms. Cancun, for example, I'll be monitoring that. Nothing organized, but some rain and storms here. The longer that stays over land, it will help kind of keep the chances down for any crazy intensification on this system. So let me just get to the models. Here's the European, then I want to get to the American model. European model right here. Here's Florida, Bahamas, my friends in Jamaica here. Cayman Islands here. Cayman Islands back through Belize and the Yucatan of Mexico. That's where I'm watching out for this rain. Over here, this is what's left of Franklin. That's been spinning in a few showers to Puerto Rico, for example. And the remnants of Gert, that's responsible for some of the rain and thunderstorms we've had in Bermuda. And I want to show you that. I'm going to really break it down for the Caribbean in a second. Now, the European model going out in time. I just want to take it into the weekend. Slow development, just kind of watching this through the weekend. You see, this is by the time we get into Sunday, and you can see here again over the Yucatan. If it's over land, can't really develop too much, but you see the increased moisture here back toward western Cuba, Cayman Islands. For the most part, most of this action is off to the west of Jamaica, and there's Franklin, and I'll break down Franklin for Bermuda and Canada ahead. All right, so again, now moving forward, this is into early next week, and you see what happens. This is by the time we get into Monday, this area of low pressure starts to move off of the Yucatan, and still that buildup of rain right here. But still, even by Monday morning, it may not be a named system. And that's one of the tricky things with this. It could become a named system and within 24 hours run into land. So again, a quick spin up of this, but giving you that heads up. But you see it here again, this area here as we work our way into Monday, and then pulling forward. Once it pulls off of the Yucatan, kind of clears western Cuba, that's when it will develop further. This is late on Tuesday. Late on Tuesday, the European model has this as a tropical storm. So a tropical storm possible late Tuesday forming into Tuesday night. That's when it could actually get a name. Here's the front up to the north that I was talking about, and I talked about this in yesterday's video. Steering conditions, I watched that very carefully. That would draw it up toward Florida. Again, big area of high pressure, super hot back to the west. So not seeing this thing going to Texas or anything like that. Then the European model brings us up toward the Big Bend area of Florida, potentially as a hurricane on Wednesday, which would be kind of a low-end hurricane, so strong tropical storm or low-end hurricane on Wednesday, and then by Thursday curling it off the coast of Georgia, South Carolina, and North Carolina as a hurricane, kind of keeping an eye on that down the road. So that's the European model, and I do think that is generally the best thinking of this, making it a tropical storm, swinging it into Florida, then near the coast of the Carolinas by the middle of next week. All right, let's get a look at what we're seeing here on the American model. The American model is not as aggressive. It may be onto the fact that this is going to be hanging out near the Yucatan longer, but this is later today, and you see later today, lots of rainstorms around, nothing organized though. But my friends in the Yucatan Peninsula, you see that? There's some of the rain. So I'll be watching out for some isolated flooding in parts of Mexico tomorrow afternoon. Not an organized system, but you see the increased chance of rain, even western Cuba, even close to the Cayman Islands, enhanced chance of showers and storms over toward Jamaica, and some of this could feed down toward Honduras and Belize, even Guatemala. Now, as we pull forward into Sunday, still generally a blob of rain, but a little bit more. You see some of the thunderstorms building toward the Cayman Islands. So on Sunday, starting to pull away, not organized, but definitely increased rain on Sunday. So we'll be watching that, and then lifting to the north. And as I mentioned when I showed you that model comparison, the American model keeps it a little bit more to the south and not as strong. This would be late on Monday, heavy rain working in to parts of Cuba, central and western Cuba. And at this point, it could be a developing, or it will be a developing system, and then it could briefly become a tropical storm, trying to pull more into South Florida, even some of the rain in Central Florida. And if it takes more of a southern route, my friends in the Bahamas, that'll increase that chance of rain by the time we get into late Tuesday into Wednesday. So again, a little bit more of a southern track, and then eventually off the coast of Florida and trying to pull out to sea. So, you know, which one's going to happen? I think it's kind of that combination of both of them, leaning toward the European model, just kind of hooking into the west coast of Florida as a tropical storm. That seems to be the most likely scenario at this point. The concern, those water temperatures so warm in the eastern Gulf of Mexico. They are so warm, running in the 90s. So again, the names out there, still watching Franklin, the remnants of Gert, Barbados. We're seeing some of that now. I'll get into that. And again, Harold, that already formed. Idalia, that is the next name on the list. So this system, if it develops and gets a name, Idalia, that'll be the next name on the list. Jose and Katia after that. Now here's the broader picture. Little upper level spin here, working its way into Mexico, southwest Mexico, buildup of rain and storms. And then as we get over here, here's Franklin. Similar to what happened in Aruba, remember a few days ago? Yes, Franklin is going to lift up to the north. The wind shear, though, has been bringing back some extra showers and storms to parts of Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands. And look at that right there. Nothing organized, but yeah, those are the remnants of Gert, close to St. Lucia, Barbados, watching that. Let me get to Franklin, and you see it here again. Franklin on track to be off to the west of Bermuda, what we've been talking about the last several days, intensifying it. Once it gets away from this wind shear, it really starts to work to the north in about a day or so. Then it will intensify and get a little bit closer to Canada. So let's break that down and show you the modeling. So here's Cuba, Haiti, Dominican Republic, Turks and Caicos, Bahamas, Bermuda here. You get over toward Nova Scotia right here, and Newfoundland over here. So just to kind of set that stage, wet at times, by the way, as you get over toward New England. All right, we get a look at this. As it pulls away from Puerto Rico, it will intensify. So let me stop the clock here. This is by the time we get into Monday, it will be a hurricane. There's Bermuda. Off to the west of Bermuda. On this distance, it would be a safe distance away from Bermuda, intensifying hurricane category 1, category 2 at this point by late on Monday. And then after that, it lifts to the north. I need to see how it ties into a front as we work our way in time Tuesday into Wednesday, watching a front back here. So you see some of the moisture building back toward the Great Lakes. And then you see it here. By the time we get into late Tuesday night, rain out ahead of it may squeak in to, say, Nova Scotia. So we'll see that increased chance of rain. Some gustier winds by Tuesday night. Really on Wednesday, we'll see some gustier winds, looking more like coastal impacts as far as those higher seas are concerned, and then getting very close to the coastline as we work our way into late Wednesday. You see this right here, blob of rain. So again, big difference if it shifts a little more one way or the other, but increased rain and some gusty winds. And then by Thursday, all of that action moving off. But there is this front here, so there's going to be more rain and storms, but this will all kind of get tied together. So watching that for the Atlantic region of Canada. And you see that in the winds here. Winds very gusty north of Puerto Rico in the open waters today. And as we move forward, you see the white shading. Those are winds of 50 miles per hour, or 80 kilometers an hour. And then as we go out in time, you see how it strengthens, and you see some of those reds popping up, some of the yellows popping up. Those are winds of 145 kilometers an hour, or 90 miles per hour. That's by the time we get into late on Monday as it becomes a hurricane off to the west of Bermuda. And then after that, by the way, the seas are going to be building. Rip current risk, east coast of the United States will be much higher. And then you see that wind field, strongest winds offshore, but winds coming in out of the south and then eventually out of the east. So we're going to see some very gusty winds out of this as this moves close to the Atlantic region of Canada and then eventually transitions into an extratropical system and kind of kicks out. Now, as we get back toward the Caribbean, my friends in Barbados, been going back and forth with you in the comments. Yeah, not an organized system, but we've had some downpours and some thunderstorms with this. The remnants of Gert trying to get closer to Trinidad and Tobago as well. That could give us some scattered showers. Watching over toward Martinique, even near Dominica. We'll see how close some of these remnants of Gert get. Even back toward St. Lucia, St. Vincent the Grenadines, Grenada. Some showers and storms at least in the area. I'll break down that modeling on that in just a second. Elsewhere out here, I'm watching a couple strong tropical waves. There are signs that this one will develop and the one behind it will develop. Again, I'll keep an eye on those. Watching everywhere. Clearly, there's a lot going on. Now, breaking it down again, I did cover this area earlier. Just covered Franklin. Watching out for this. You see the increased rain here. Scattered showers and storms this afternoon. Barbados, we're going to see that kind of on and off all day long. Keep me posted in the comments. And again, some of those trying to squeak toward Trinidad and Tobago today. Watching that. Guyana and Suriname. We have been so dry. Generally on the drier side, some daytime heating will give us some of those storms over toward Venezuela and Colombia. Guatemala, El Salvador, Honduras, again, as I mentioned with that system there, some extra rain. Watching out for still the high chance of rain in parts of Costa Rica and Panama. Nicaragua kind of right in between, but still some scattered showers and storms. By tomorrow, still some scattered showers and storms. You see that little flare up there. So we'll see some batches. Even tonight in Trinidad, may catch some rain that will be moving through with the remnants of Gert. Then as we work our way deeper to the weekend, by Sunday afternoon, not as much in the eastern Caribbean, and watching more tropical waves out there, and then watching this developing system that will be lifting up toward Florida that I covered at the beginning of this video. Now, on the eastern Pacific side, not as much. It's been a little quieter, more active in the Atlantic right now, not Atlantic Basin, I should say, not as active on the eastern Pacific side. Could see a little development out of this area, but not seeing as much. It's really that area over there, Caribbean, working its way into the Gulf of Mexico that has the highest chance of development. So Belize, a 50% chance, 60% chance of scattered showers and storms. Yucatan Peninsula, as I mentioned, in Mexico, a higher chance with those rain and storms around. Jamaica staying unsettled. Most of the action, yeah, is off to the west, but it is going to be unsettled because of the system around. So for us in Jamaica, we have that higher chance of rain. Cayman Islands, same thing, a 60 to 70% chance today right through the weekend. Puerto Rico, we've had some of those showers breaking free on the south side of Franklin. Then Franklin will eventually lift to the north. 30% rain chance, Turks and Caicos today through the weekend. 20 to 30% chance over toward the Bahamas. Bahamas, I'll keep an eye on early next week to see how this system evolves as it moves toward Florida and potentially the northern Bahamas. Trinidad and Tobago, you see the next couple days, that rain chance, it is higher. It's been so hot, so hopefully you get some relief from the heat. Barbados, there we go. That rain chance on the high side today. And in St. Lucia, right on the edge of it. Most of it's been to the east, but today and tomorrow, a 50 to 60% chance. Some scattered showers and storms from my friends in Haiti. Same thing, Dominican Republic, 50% chance as we get into this weekend. A 30 to 40% chance today through this weekend for Grenada. And as we work our way to the U.S. Virgin Islands and British Virgin Islands, we had a couple showers overnight and this morning. 40% chance today as Franklin tries to pull away. 30% chance Saturday, a little bit drier on Sunday. And Aruba, yeah, we're back to that pattern. Aruba, Curacao, Bonaire, where we are hot and we are mainly dry. 40 to 50% chance with some showers and storms scattered about because of the remnants of Gert over towards St. Vincent and the Grenadines. 40% chance the next couple days in Guadeloupe as we swing back toward Dominica, right on the edge of the remnants of Gert. 50% chance for today, and a little bit higher as we get in, toward Martinique. A 60% chance of rain and storms today. 20% chance St. Kitts, Nevis, and Montserrat. 20 to 30% chance Antigua and Barbuda. And as we get back toward Anguilla, passing shower possible. The next 3 days, a 20% chance. 20 to 30% chance St. Martin, Saba, and Statia. And as we get back toward Costa Rica, not all day stuff, but that flood threat continues. Talked about that a few minutes ago. Northern Venezuela, 40% chance of showers and storms, especially later in the day. In Guyana, drought conditions moving in. Same thing in Suriname, watching that. Watching those crops as well with that drier pattern that has now taken hold. Most of the action up to the north, which gets more common for this time of year. So rain building near Mexico and Belize, lifting into the Gulf. It will develop some. How much it develops, yeah, it's still a question mark. Watching that, but a tropical storm likely to form. And as I mentioned, those strong 2 waves coming off, not ocean waves, but atmospheric waves coming off the coast of Africa. I expect development out of those. I'm not taking my eye off of that. Watching those out there. And almost halfway through the hurricane season, we've got a long way to go, but I'll keep you covered. Safety, #1 priority. Thank you for being part of this channel, and I hope you have a good rest of your day.